Welcome to Soundbites with Waylon and Susan, or Susan and Waylon, rather, where we take a short extraction of our daily lives as publicists to share with our audience in and around Dallas and beyond. We are your host, Waylon Tate, with J. Waylon and Associates.
And I'm Susan Friedman of Friedman Marketing and Public Relations.
This is episode 2, Susan.
Yes.
I know, I'm excited. We're really, really excited. Well, episode 2, it's actually 7, right?
It's episode 7 with our rehearsals.
We've come out of the closet, so to speak, with doing our little adventure here. Yeah, this is the second one where we're sharing, right, with the public at large. And we've been busy, for sure.
Yeah, it's the holiday season and definitely tons of events, a lot of end-of-year recaps, summaries, reviews, and then, of course, looking into 2018 and planning.
And I don't know what your calendar's looking like, but we had I had 2 meetings last week about proposals for 2018 and what that will look like, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show, about that kind of specific type of PR, which is that launch kind of campaign when people are coming out with a new brand or a new company and what that looks like. It's very exciting. But, there's so much that takes place at the end of the year in and around our industry. And one of those things is Time names a person of the year.
Oh,
right?
yes.
So
yes.
I think this is something you and I are both really consumed with. I'm not starstruck, but I love the idea of celebridom. And normally the face of, when Time names Person of the Year, it is a celebrity.
Yes, they usually have one person on the cover and
a very well-known person, right? That most people
whether
know.
making a positive or even a negative impact, but just being a major influencer globally.
That's right. And how do they influence, and what are they influencing? And I think that this year's person or persons of the year says a lot kind of about where we are.
It does. And it's actually very current since October when this whole movement started. I'll bring out the...
Yes, please. If
Person of the Year, Time Magazine, is The Silence Breakers.
It's an amazing piece. And now, I said that there was no celebridom, obviously, but...
But it started in Hollywood.
Correct. That's right.
Is where the industry that has actually been the major focus.
That's right.
And we're starting to see it trickle into other industries at this point, but the Me Too movement.
And let's explain a little bit about what that is. Like what, well, I'll ask you first. Obviously, you are a woman, so what does that mean to you? What does the, hashtag Me Too movement mean to you? In your own words. Maybe not even as a publicist, but as Susan Friedman.
Sure. No, that's great. I think it is women who have experienced, let me take that back, women and men who have experienced some type of sexual misconduct, harassment, or in any way some type of demeaning conduct because of their sexuality, because of their gender.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that, a core component, like when I've been reading and kind of researching a whole lot about this particular topic, and for me, a lot of it comes from a place of being afraid to speak out, right? Because of whatever type of power positions may be in play.
Sure.
A lot of, like you said, this movement really kind of centered out of Hollywood. And what does that mean? I've lived in Hollywood. I know kind of the dynamic of what it is. And when people ask me what is Los Angeles, I always say it's 8 million people searching for the same dream. And it's true. And
That's brilliant.
Well, and I personally experienced people doing things that in a rational mind wouldn't normally do. And they were doing it because that was just kind of accepted as a rite of passage to break into this stratosphere of what is celebrity and fame and getting to be known. And so I can certainly understand the perspective of these women that are on this cover, and that they're just, because people, are coming out with, why now? Like, why are they just now coming forward with their stories, right? And I think there are several ways in which you could engage a conversation around that. Primarily for me, it would be because there is 100% a conversations taking place around this country about gender identity, politics, and women are gaining momentum because I think they've had enough.
Yeah.
And what I love is the fact that it really started with one, I think probably, maybe, was it Weinstein that story broke, and that may have been kind of the first,
Harvey Weinstein
nudge.
with,
Yeah,
I
Weinstein,
believe,
yes.
I want to say that Ashley Judd was the first person
Okay,
to speak out,
okay.
but I'm not quite sure.
And she
I
gave
need to-
voice to the cause.
She did give voice, yeah.
And then, so now I think, as with any other situation, there's power in numbers, and I think that perhaps women, and like you said, men as well, are feeling more comfortable, right? Because they're being taken seriously, where previously they would have been laughed at.
There are cases where they went to HR, they did tell other people, and nothing happened. And so, as you said, the power of numbers and the power of the media.
That's right.
The power of the media is really exposing people and showing that this conduct is wrong.
And do you think in some ways those that were known, like Ashley Judd, who obviously made a great impact in kind of this domino effect of other women coming out, this is, I don't know if it's the good or the bad, right, that it would take someone of her stature and her, popularity to get the movement going? Like, why would we have more confidence in a celebrity coming out and telling their story than just a woman who has no fame
Right.
behind her? And what does that say about us?
Yeah. You do kind of need to have that celebrity voice, I think, especially because of the situation, and it was Harvey Weinstein. So,
Right.
I give them kudos. I think it's amazing. It's amazing how it's actually gone global. And they were saying the Me Too movement, it's now in different languages.
Oh.
Which is really cool.
Oh, that is really
Yeah,
interesting.
isn't that neat?
It is.
And so congratulations to Person of the Year and all of those who have spoken and are getting the support that they need.
That's right. And it's going to be interesting to see, because I tell you, those dominoes do not end here. And it's going to continue.
It's going to be interesting,
That's right.
isn't it?
And I can't think of his name, Susan. I'm sure you can, from House of Cards, and it was
Kevin Spacey.
right? And
I haven't heard anything about him
well,
recently. Have you?
Well, I know that. I've heard that his publicist kind of stepped away the moment that it happened,
Right.
And we talked a little bit
we
about
did
that in
talk
the last
about
show. But that it wasn't; those weren't even previous accusations. They were like live, like in the moment happening, even on the set of House of Cards, because I think 6 more people have come forward since then.
Oh, wow.
From current like situations that are happening, and it's like, I've worked with elected officials primarily, and you have to think that celebrities and kind of people in the spotlight. So whether that's actors, musicians, or elected officials, they have to understand that they are under a microscope at all times. And what kind of arrogance must you have to not understand that your actions are always going to be, in some ways, of public record, whether it's disclosed now or whether it's disclosed 15 or 20 years from now.
Right.
Right? So it's interesting to see, and we've kind of dived.
And we have more to see, I'm sure.
Oh, it's gonna, for sure. The dominoes, like I said, do not end here. So, what did you do this past weekend?
Oh, it was a wonderful weekend. It was a busy weekend. We started off, I had a media reception with my client at
Okay.
AC Hotel.
Okay.
And that was on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we hosted a happy hour for the Downtown Residents Council, once again
Nice.
at AC Hotel. Wonderful turnout.
And
They
what is
enjoyed
that?
the Perron experience.
Oh, jeez, that was an interesting episode.
Yes.
Which my mom said was not your most. What did she say exactly? Something like that wasn't your best moment. Of course, in true, spirit of a mother. But
Sorry, Mom.
sorry, Mom. And I think I apologized last week on the show before we showed it. So tell me, what does this council do? Like Downtown Residents Council?
Sure. It is a organization that supports downtown residences and provides them with communication and events and just a sense of community.
Okay.
And it's wonderful. I was really impressed. It was my first time going to a downtown residence council. As you know, I live in the Oaklawn neighborhood, so I
Yes.
don't go to them very often. But they do quite a bit. They were saying actually that they were going to do, their next event was sangria making.
Oh, fun.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah, it is. And I would be interested to see what that process is like. I love sangria. And it's not as easy as you would think to find really well-made sangria.
I agree. I haven't tried making it, but there's so many different recipes too, and I don't know what's good and what's bad. All I know is I went to Spain and they had the best sangria ever, so I'd rather go to Spain
It's
and
like
drink
that,
sangria than make it myself.
Yeah, I mean, and that could be said for a lot of other
Yeah.
cocktails as well, right? Like
Yeah.
You're never going to have a better tequila sunrise than when you're in Mexico,
Right.
Because everything's super fresh and extracted, and
Mm-hmm.
they make it craft like right in front of you. But I actually, our offices are downtown,
Mm-hmm.
so we're not residents. But it may be interesting to see if something that one of the clients that I work with could sponsor something for them.
Oh,
Or
definitely.
host something with them. So I don't.
I could get you in touch.
Yeah,
with
that would be
people.
great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That's a
That
good
would be
idea.
interesting. Well, I had an opportunity this past Saturday to attend kind of the meet and greet with Nestor Estrada, who was our guest on the
I'm
show
so sad
last
that
week.
I couldn't attend.
It was really nice, Susan.
He's so nice.
He is, and
love
it's
him.
genuine. It's authentic. Like
Yeah.
that's just who he is. I actually saw him at brunch briefly on Sunday after his meet and greet the night before. But it was a great turnout. I love more than anything to see kind of local communities really kind of come together, and it was a really eclectic crowd. In all ages and races, and it was a beautiful blend of people that are there to celebrate really one thing, which is kind of live theater. And I was listening to Nestor talk about what his plans are with kind of expanding the role of the theater and hopefully getting more patrons in to see
Wonderful.
their stuff. It was
He's going to do a wonderful job.
He will.
I'm very confident in him.
He will, and we have to take him up on his offer to let us
Go to cycle
yeah,
class.
do one of
Yeah.
the cycling classes because it was a lot of. I'm
By
excited.
day, he's a cycle instructor, and by night, by day and night, he's the newest executive director of Teatro Dallas.
Yes, yeah. So it'll be exciting to see what he does with Teatro Dallas. It'll be even more exciting to see you and I flopping away on bicycles. So hopefully that'll be coming up really
Yeah.
soon. So
I do want to do that. And the saving grace is that it's in the dark with candles, so you won't see me. Yes. So what else I did? I went to a holiday party.
Okay.
It was my husband's work party, which is always fun. We played bingo. We
what does
ate
Brian
a lot
do,
of food.
First of all, what does Brian do? I don't.
He is a director for Textron.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes. And he's worked for the company for over 10 years.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So
In
you had a lot of
finance.
eats and drinks.
Eats and drinks, yes. And then on Sunday, I forgot, Saturday afternoon, eQuest, who provides therapeutic horsemanship for children, adults, and veterans with special needs, they had their holiday party called Jingle Mingle. It was beautiful out on Saturday in the sun. It was gorgeous. And you're out at it's in the Trinity Forest, and it was just beautiful, very relaxing and tranquil, and surrounded by horses.
Wow. That
Yep.
does sound nice.
And then on Sunday, Sailor Jerry, who is also my client, it's a spiced rum, and they had our ambassador, Gravy, was in town, and we went to Industry Alley and had a holiday party, cocktails, and free tattooing.
What? Like
Yeah.
real? Like was it like henna tattooing? or was
Nope,
it real?
right next door. Josh Hall is a tattoo artist who owns a gorgeous tattoo salon.
Okay.
And yeah, the lucky few who got to do it got Sailor Jerry tattoos. And the reason being is Sailor Jerry is actually the godfather of the Americana tattoo. So when you see
Oh.
anchors and ships and pinups,
That's his.
That's his.
Okay.
He formulated that whole genre.
Oh my
He's a former Navy SEALsman, or not SEALsman, but he was a Navy man, and started doing tattooing in Hawaii.
I love. Do you have any tattoos?
Yes.
I do too.
You do?
I do. I have two.
What-
I have butterflies on my back left shoulder, and then I have like the sun, moon, and stars like around my belly button, not around my belly button, but near my belly button. But I thought actually for my 40th birthday, which has already passed, that I was going to get my favorite, the last two lines of my favorite poem, which is Invictus by William Ernest Henley, which is, I am the, what is it? I am the captain of my, shoot, I can't remember now. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Which is just beautiful. And so it's really a mantra that I've lived by for quite some time because I really do believe
that would be wonderful.
Command our own happiness.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to, well, we'll post obviously his shop on our social media, but maybe you'll have to.
Yeah, I took some pictures. Team Media actually got some tattoos. I'm not going to say who because they may want to keep
that private.
Keep that
That's
private.
great.
But yeah,
Maybe
it
we
was
can
a
film
really
me
fun time.
getting my tattoo across my chest. That'd be great.
That'd be
right?
great.
And we have a lot still. Like we're what, 3 weeks out from? Are we even 3 weeks out from Christmas? Are we 2 weeks? What is it?
2 weeks.
10th?
We're 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh! Like, have you done your Christmas shopping?
Yes.
Okay, I've got a little bit more to do.
I have a little bit more to do as well.
But I really need to close up a bunch of work kind of before the end of the year because we're taking a week off.
Yeah, good for you. Are you going anywhere?
No, I'm staying here. My family's coming into town, which is nice, but it will be nice to like not go into the office for an entire week. So I'm really excited about that. But we do have some stuff that's coming up this week. Why don't you start off with yours?
So I'm excited about this because we talk so much about the holidays and Christmas, but actually tomorrow's Hanukkah.
Oh, that's
yes,
right.
Yes. And it was interesting because I was looking into different events for the next week, and I only found one Hanukkah event, only one. And I'm excited about it, though. It's at West Village, and they're going to be the lighting of the menorah. They're going to have latkes and live music and festivity. So that is tomorrow at West Village.
Nice.
Yes.
Is there any significance? Well, I'm sure there is because it's obviously a religious holiday. But what is the
Don't
lighting?
ask me holiday.
Okay. Well, no, I'm just curious because I was Catholic, and so
Right.
kind of the lighting of the candle was really significant because Christmas Mass is just beautiful.
Sure.
For me, I mean, it's the whole church is lit. I'm sorry, the whole church is dark, and so you start off with the candle of life, right, which the priest holds, and it's lit, and then the altar boys light their candles from that, and every single person in the church has a candle, and so it goes like
that's
this,
gorgeous.
and the entire church ends up being lit by nothing but
that is
candles. It is really beautiful.
beautiful.
I mean, it's really kind of significant as far as like, passing kind of this. Life, right? I mean, it's such a humble experience to, engage with somebody that you don't even know, really, right? So whoever's next to you is going to light your candle, and you're going to light the next person's candle. I love the pomp and circumstance behind religion, and I think that there's some things that kind of mirror. Other parts of your life. But so my question originally was, is there some significance behind lighting the menorah?
Yeah, there is some significance, and it has to do with the miracle of, we'll see if I can remember this from my childhood, but it had to do with the oil lasting during the, where's Jew right here?
I know. No, Susan.
I'll read you the story afterwards.
Okay. We'll post the story of the lighting of the menorah.
Post the story, yes. And they actually have prayers throughout, and it's a celebration of miracle.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. It's all about miracles, right? I think all religions and their events, it's called the Advent calendar for Catholics, but I think all of them are about small miracles that took place. So we'll leave it at that. And
Thank you.
And
we'll move on to our next topic.
Yes. So what is the classic open mic at Buzz Brews?
So I love this because it is so different. There is an organization called Open Classical, and they host, you hear about like poetry nights and, singing and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is classical music. They're really trying to promote classical music within the city of Dallas. And it's an open mic night for people who perform classical music, whether on their instruments. So you can bring in a violin, a horn. I think they said they were going to have a piano there. And of all places, it's at a very casual spot, so you don't have to dress up. The food is affordable. You can have a cup of coffee. It's at Buzz Brews on Lemon.
Nice.
Isn't that neat?
That is neat. And it's really close to where we live.
Exactly.
Right? So I may
Exactly.
go and obviously not
So that's Tuesday at 8 p.m. at Buzzbrews on Lemon.
Nice. And then, the 16th.
It's
Ricky Derrick's-
Saturday. I wanted to give a shout out to Ricky Derrick. He is a legendary Frank Sinatra tribute singer.
Oh, nice.
And so he's doing a holiday concert at the Granada Theater on Saturday. And if you haven't seen him, you need to. He's just a wonderful performer, great voice, and worth going to see.
God, I love that. And, Sinatra's obviously such a icon, right? Does he sound like him?
Yeah.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see as well. And then for me, coming up Wednesday. So what I really like about the holidays is that clients become overly philanthropic, right? And which I love, and I always push them to do so. Because if there's any time of the year to give back, it's kind of around the holidays because everybody themselves are in kind of that momentum of giving back.
Spirit.
Correct.
Exactly.
So one of my favorite nonprofits in Dallas is the Promise House, and so they provide services and housing actually for kind of youth that have either run away or been kind of kicked out and really have nowhere to go. It's a homeless youth facility and provide tons of educational experiences and counseling and a lot of other services. So one of our clients is Tillman's Roadhouse, a Jeffrey Collinger project. And so we've committed throughout the entire month, all the way to the 21st of December, that they have this big, cute gift box that's inside of Tillman's Roadhouse in Bishop Arts. And if you donate anything to Promise House from their needs list, you'll get a free tableside s'mores, which is their kind of claim
Yum.
to fame. Like everybody
That's
talks about this tableside
wonderful.
s'mores because everything's made in-house.
Yeah.
Like the marshmallows are made in-house, the chocolate's made in-house.
That's so great.
So on this Wednesday, on December 13th, they're doing a special night with Jeffrey Collinger, and so it's not by invitation only.
The
In fact-
Promise House is doing a special event?
No, Tillman's is for
Tillman's, okay.
for the Promise House, and so not only are you going to get a free tableside s'mores, you're going to get a free appetizer and a free glass of champagne.
Wow,
So it's
that's
a big
Wednesday?
deal. Wednesday, correct. From 6 to 9 p.m. So
Nice.
I love it, right? I mean, there's I
That's
don't know.
open to the public?
It
you said?
is. It is open to the
So make
public.
reservations now, because it's probably booked.
It is going to get insane, but we'll keep the doors open and hopefully raise a bunch of gifts and toys for the Promise House, which is great. So
Good for them. That's wonderful.
I think it's a good time to take a break and mention one of our sponsors, Crudo Vodka. Crudo makes it smoother. So after the break,
Gotta bring it in next time.
I know, I will. You would think I would have it. I do actually have some in my trunk. I'm not going to run out during this break and get it, but I'll bring it on the show next time. So, but after this short break, we'll come back and we'll actually really dive into the different kinds of PR. So it'll be fun. So stay tuned. And we're back. And following that commercial break for Crudo Vodka USA, they were kind enough to give us 2 sets of 2 tickets to an up-and-coming Allen Americans hockey game. So what I would, let's post something on our Instagram after the show, and if you tag us and follow us on Instagram, this particular post that we'll do, we'll give away those tickets and we'll announce that on the next
Oh, that's
show. That'd be
exciting,
great.
yes.
I know. So thank you, Crudo, for those tickets.
Yes.
And we wanted to dive in a little bit into the different kinds of public relations, right? Because it is so misnomer that people have an idea that it is a singular activity, that PR or public relations is kind of there is only kind of one kind of PR. Now, you and I obviously know that's not the case because even you and I do very different kinds of PR,
Correct.
and we've talked about that a little bit before. But I thought it would be interesting. Now, these are obviously what I came up with, kind of the 7 types of PR. I'm sure there's many different kinds as well. But I thought it would be nice if we kind of broke down for our audience what are the different kinds of PR. And I started off this list with something that is very comfortable to you, and I think that's what you engage in probably the most. And tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know, but you are like
Do a
the
little
events
bit of
queen.
everything.
Yeah, but everyone knows Susan because she puts on these just amazing events around the city, or does the PR for these amazing events around the city. So the first kind of PR I think we should talk about is event
PR. Exactly. And event PR, it's a one-time event, or it can be several days, but it's under a short time span. So I think that makes it different than some of these longer-term projects. You need at least minimum 3 months in advance, though. Magazines and a lot of the monthly print magazines and publications, they print sometimes a month in advance. So you need time to pitch the story. The writer needs to interview, take some time to do photos and all that kind of stuff. So you need to do it a minimum of 3 months.
3 months in advance.
Usually you do 6 to 8, though, depending on how large the event is. And I think for me, it's one of the more stressful kinds of PR because you have that one shot, and a lot of times the press will come out within the same week of the event, and it's kind of, you're not quite sure where all it's going to be sometimes. And yeah, I would have to say it's the most stressful.
I don't do near as much of this event kind of PR as you do, but I would think, in other kinds of PR that we do, you have like multiple opportunities to engage with the media, right? But I would think how stressful it would be as a publicist who's tasked with getting media to a specific, space or location for an event, like the pressure that you must be under, right, to ensure that the client has good delivery of because you and I know, like in the news cycle, if something happens, it can shift everything, right?
Exactly.
So I give you a lot of props because it is stressful, Susan, what you do, and and on top of that, we live in a large metroplex, right? And so there are events going on.
There are so many
every
events.
day. So you have to think, my goodness,
right now.
there's limited, reporters, and there's a lot of white noise.
I'll give an example. It's kind of funny. American Airlines does an amazing promotion it's called Snowball Express, and they bring over 1,500 family members from fallen military to Dallas-Fort Worth for a weekend of holiday cheer and activities, and eQuest is participating in it. And they're going to host 150 family members to do activities with their horses, with the therapy horses. And so it's called a media alert for those who aren't in the PR industry. Basically, it's inviting cameras and reporters to film the event. And you call the assignment desk to make sure that they receive it. And the feedback was, I've gotten 4 of these for different events today, other Snowball Express activities, and we probably covered 5 of them for the weekend. And that was just one, like Snowball Express, which is a huge endeavor. It's wonderful what they're doing, but I mean, that's just one example of the kind of competition that you're up against trying to get media to
I cannot
your event.
imagine. I really can't because most of the clients that I deal with is they're ongoing campaigns, right? So, you can if it kind of falls through the the lines once, then you can just go back the next week or the next week or the next week until you get it, until you get some placement done. But it's like you have like one shot, right? It's the day of the event. I mean, there's obviously lead up press and then some follow up or recap. I'm sure that can be done, but it's very limited in scope, and I think that's what kind of identifies or defines event PR outside of kind of the other ones. Corporate communications is something I personally don't have a whole lot of experience in. I've aided, I've kind of helped. We've been hired to help develop some corporate communications, but it's really twofold, right? So you're speaking to 2 audiences. You're speaking to your own employees and staff about kind of what's going on in the company and what you need them to know, and then an external PR factor, which is kind of in-house communications. deals with their company's brand with the public at large,
Right.
right? So a dissemination of information.
And they usually have in-house publicists.
They do.
Too. And those publicists usually have their master's degree in several different categories.
Journalism,
Yeah.
communications.
Exactly.
And sometimes like radio, film, television,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the kind of the third and most exciting for me is launch or startup PR. I love working with startups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is, so to me, this is the easiest kind for me because everybody, including the media, wants
The
new
newest
buzz.
thing.
They
I
want the newest
agree.
buzz.
Yeah.
And so kind of startup or launch PR is geared to get the message of the new company or the new item or
Mm-hmm.
the new product in front of lots of audiences and create buzz. I think this is really where the word buzz is used a lot.
Yes.
It's kind of with startups and launch campaigns. So it's probably, again, like I would say it's probably my favorite. Taylor Swift did a really cool kind of launch campaign to her newest album where I think she partnered with, it was either FedEx or UPS, and on the side of their vans, they had this picture and a code. And so her fans would take a picture and then tag it on Twitter, and she gathered some of those and invited them to her show free of charge.
Oh,
Like, isn't that
wow.
such a cool campaign?
That is a great
But again,
campaign.
so
Good
it's
for
not just about
FedEx for-
launching a product, a tangible product, but
Yes.
launching kind of music or a new album, kind of how they did that. The most difficult, and you and I can agree on this for sure, is crisis communications,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is, most people identify as damage control. At the beginning of the show, we were talking about,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know, these, the whistleblowers or the
Silence breakers.
silence breakers from Time. And so you have to think about not only the damage control for those women, because they are going to be, people will come after them for sure, but for the people that they're accusing, right? So it's on
That's
both
a great
sides.
example. Yeah.
Where you have to, it's really about managing one's reputation.
And you know, it's interesting too. I want to bring this up. It is damage control after the fact, but crisis communications is also preventative.
That's right.
And it's putting something in place should there be
That's
a
we've-
crisis, and knowing who to contact, having direct access, who
Having
is
the
the
sound bites
spokesperson,
ready to go.
having the sound bites, exactly, and a lot of it is preventative too.
We actually did for one of our clients who happens to be in financial services. We developed an entire crisis communications plan for them, and it was exactly that. Should this instance happen, this is the only person who responds. This is what they will respond. So you're right, Susan. I mean,
Yeah.
that's probably, that may even be more important, right? To have
Exactly.
that plan in place. It's like a continuity factor. Celebrity PR. Have you worked directly with celebrities before?
I have when I lived in New York, and I've worked with them as visiting guests here in Dallas,
Right.
but I wouldn't say that makes me a celebrity publicist.
No, nor would I. And I think no celebrity publicists would ever call themselves a celebrity
I always
publicist.
think of Entourage.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's, you know, the limiting factors of being in celebrity PR is that you really can only work with one, maybe two. So I think it's, from a financial perspective, you're kind of limited in what you can do. I have
Well-
friends in LA who do celebrity PR.
There are, yeah. Actually, they do have, like, there are just celebrity publicists, and they have a whole slew of celebrities. So I think that you need to watch personalities
Yeah.
and all that. I was reading, actually, Kim Kardashian, there was a huge announcement that she changed her publicist. Or actually, she fired her director and added a new publicist on board. Yes, my Kim Kardashian. And yeah, I think it would be fun to be a celebrity publicist, but it would be, I'll give an example. There is, I don't know, are you familiar with Mikhail Baryshnikov?
Yeah, of course.
So a long time ago when I lived in New York, I was working with him. And I know like it wasn't necessarily his publicist, but his team of people would get up at 6 a.m. with a phone call with him and literally work with him until midnight.
Oh my goodness.
So
It's a lot of time.
it is a lot.
commitment.
Not saying that he's a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I adore him, but yeah, it seemed like quite a bit.
That's more time than I want to commit to anything. And hospitality PR is something that you and I are both very much engaged in, from the spirits industry to restaurants to chefs, storefronts. Right, this is kind of a lot of where we're true branding comes into play. And our audience is much more limited, at least in my, from my perspective. We represent 2 restaurants, and so this is not kind of national rollouts or campaigns that I'm having to, work on outside of just Dallas, really. But it's much more hyper local, so it's a little bit different.
I
kind of
like
PR.
it. I find it kind of. I think it's probably one of the easiest, just because there's so many. Like, there's specifically culinary segments
Sure.
to do hospitality. There's cooking segments. There's a lot more opportunities. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of bloggers and social media who just do cocktails and food and dining, and it's such a huge part of our culture, and a lot of people discuss it. So I think I enjoy doing it. I find it a little bit easier because it's so direct on what
Right.
you do. I think one of the things that I would like to see within the Dallas community and the Publicist is actually trying to break out and get our restaurants noticed nationally.
I
don't
love that,
think
yeah.
we see it as much, getting them in the James Beard Awards and Bon Appetit magazine,
Yeah.
and trying to get some more national recognition, because we have such an amazing talent of chefs.
We do, and travel publications can really
Travel, exactly.
come into play,
Yeah.
and we've kind of utilized those operations as well. So the last kind of PR that I know of really and have experienced personally is kind of working in the government, right?
This is all you.
Yeah, which was, and I worked with a local elected official and government agency, and it is really tricky because going in, you have to have, I signed huge privacy and non-disclosure agreements that we could never disclose anything that we knew on the inside, and you also know going in that you are, that you have to, everything that you say, all of your communications via email, text, phone calls, is open record. So anything you ever talk about with the elected official can be, the media can obviously,
Right.
get a hold of that, which is not that you would have anything to hide, but it's just you speak very candidly, like you do with all of your
Yeah.
clients, right? So it's a very kind of, it's in and of itself, it's a whole different stratosphere of public relations. But yeah, and we can elaborate more on these
Yeah.
as time goes on, but we need to wrap up for today. So we definitely want to give a shout out to.
Oh, to eQuest.
Yes.
I mentioned them earlier, but they are based here in Dallas, just 15 minutes south of downtown Dallas at Texas Horse Park, and they provide therapeutic horsemanship for children, adults, and veterans with special needs.
I love that. We'll have to go. I really do want to go and experience what that's
Beautiful.
like. So, okay, great. Well, until next time, this is Susan and Waylon, and thank you so much for joining our show. And please keep in touch with us on all social media at Susan and Waylon.